Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and today we're doing the sign of fire, Sun, Moon and Rising for Aries, Sagittarius and Leo energy. The first card I picked up, and I think this is actually really being a specific reading for Aries, is the Magician. The Magician actually is representative of Aries. Now the Magician has the ability to manifest just about anything that they want. So you're in a manifesting mode right now. So if you're trying to manifest a job, a relationship, to be independent, working from home, maybe promoting your own platform, it says it's going to be successful at this time. What's crossing your path, and the Magician likes to start at the, I call him the rock star of the zodiac. They're like the ones that like to get up on stage, and some Aries are singers. You may have Aries in your chart, you might be an ascendant, you might be an Aquarian with an Aries ascendant. Sometimes I find I'm an Aquarian and I've got an Aries ascendant. I sometimes resonate more with Aries readings than I do with Aquarians. So it's saying here that you may be getting lots of attention, public attention, the Magician, from being online, from doing your own platform, and you're starting to get a following. You're manifesting. Money may just appear out of nowhere, creative abilities or friends willing to help out, understanding what you have versus what you need is to send you the perfect gift. You have amazing skill and creative talent that you can rely on. However, it's also wise to seek out good advice from inexperienced people. Allow others to open doors for you or make introductions to those who can point you in the right direction. The Magician has accomplished his climb to the Glastonbury Tor. He's walking along the easier part of the path towards the base of the mountain. So you're going to take charge of your life, the ability to do anything, and success due to excellent training. You may be visualizing your hopes and dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. We're just coming out of Pisces season, but you may have Pisces strongly placement in your chart, in your moon, in your natal chart. I've got a placement in Pisces, Scorpio and Cancer, so I'm quite emotional, but I can also pick up on things intuitively, Pisces being one of the most intuitive signs of the zodiac, and being a Pisces, you tend to be very dreamy. Pisces are dreamy star signs. They don't always live in the 3D. They're sometimes living on the 5D and the 3D. You may be between worlds. You may get impressions. You may be very intuitive, and you may come across as this Aquarian with a business sense, but you also have deep emotional feelings. What's crossing your path is the 8 of Wands. This to me is like business travel. In 8 days' time, you may be having a lot of stress. You may be trying to organise your fitness regime. You may be trying to organise decorating in your house, organising how to do, work and maybe wanting to do volunteer work and wanting to do study. You may just have a lot of fingers in a lot of pies doing a YouTube channel, for instance, but you may also meet someone where things are just going to spice up. They may be a water sign, and because they're coming through as a Princess of Cups. Well, it can be either sex. They could just represent someone who's a Cancer, Pisces or Scorpion that's around you, who is younger than you and quite emotional, and they love to read romance novels. They may have a stack of them near their bedside. They, if that was a sport, they'd win Olympic medals for that. They're very dreamy, very emotional. They're always there for all their friends and family. If you ever have a problem, you can go to a Pisces, Scorpio or Cancer, because they're the people that you can talk to about your concerns and your emotions with. In the past, you had the Hangman, something you had to sacrifice, whether it be a person, a place, a thing, or whether you had to give up on a person because you were separated because of COVID. A lot of people couldn't see family and friends, and that to you must have been terrible to have, because that's, if you're a parent and you can't see your children, that's the worst kind of abuse I could think that you would do to someone else, because that's their child. They need to see and make regular contact with those children. So yeah, the sacrifices, the Hangman, you might have been seen as a bit strange because you do things outside the normal. In your family, you might do tarot readings, and they may be very religious. You look at things from a different perspective, seeing beyond what's obvious. Hidden action behind an apparent standstill, and exploring your past lifetimes, giving so that others can gain. It's time for a change in your perspective, seeing your challenges in an entirely different way. A new lease on life at the end of a stagnant situation. Ask your angels and the gods and the fairies to give you signs that will keep you perceived in a whole other light. This is a show to show up to remind you just how wonderful and magical you are. When others value qualities within you that you may have labelled weird or unusual, you can come to see your incredible strength and potential that lies in being your unique self. This is a card of clarity, charity and kindness. Yeah, you might have given out to those in need. You may have been a volunteer in the past, or you may have helped others that were from another country. You may be staying in a dormitory with other people from different countries and they rely on their money to be wired over. You might have given them some food or given them access to cheaper groceries and tried to sort of help out where you could. Now, they've got here the 7 of coins. That's to do with watching you, planting your seeds. You may have been saving money in the recent past for a rainy day, and you must have felt something was coming up. And I actually did that around Christmas. I banked all my paychecks. I didn't spend barely any of it. And then I got told I had to pay a bond. So thank God I'd saved it, because if I hadn't, I would have been in dire straits. I would have had to apply to the rental bond board, and it's a real process. It takes forever to get approved. And I had all that savings, so I had to use it. So in the crowning position is the 9 of Cups. Now the 9 of Cups is in happiness and joy. You've been granted a wish by a fairy godmother, a grandmother, someone who's passed over is looking after you and trying to help you get your wish. Working from home, having your own channel, working independently, being an independent person, not having to actually leave your home to go to work. You may have had a recent illness and you've been protected by this guardian angel, who's your biggest fan, by the way. They're your cheerleader. And what I got told to get was bloodstone, which is this. Bloodstone's very good for healing, and they say it's got marks on it. You see, it's got like little marks. It's saying it's like the blood of Christ. You ask that, you say that spell for, you invoke Jesus Christ to come and bathe you in his light, protect you from being sick. If you've been recently sick, I know I've been very, very sick, so I went and got that from Rainbow Runner, and then I did a candle magic with the green candle, and I put rid me of the flu. So I did that, and I kept burning the candle down, and I got given this little bag from Rainbow Runner, which is so cool. So I can put any combination of crystals in that bag to bring healing. So I use bloodstone, I use rose quartz because that's self-love, and then I amplified it with my selenite. Selenite amplifies love, self-love, and you may have been going through a time when you didn't feel worthy of something, and maybe that was a reflection and it was coming out as an illness or a sickness because you didn't feel worthy, you didn't feel you could do what you claimed. You might have had imposter syndrome. You might be releasing some emotions. I'm reading a book by Dr. Bradley Nilsson, and it's called The Emotion Code, and it talks about trapped emotions in the body. And if you're a healer, and if you do Reiki, or if you do massage, or you're a hairdresser, or you're a beauty therapist, it's all people that use their hands to touch someone else's aura. You can actually shift and move energy that's being trapped, and sometimes when that happens, it can come as an enormous release. You may experience what those people are experiencing as well, or get a vision of what was trapped in their body when you're trying to shift stuck emotions. I did one for my son recently. He had fallen off a monkey bar back when he was 9 at this school in Brisbane, and it must have been traumatic for him. He actually stored it in his shoulder because he actually broke his shoulder blade, and it was on his right. And when I was massaging him a couple of weeks ago, I felt this huge shift in this one area on his neck when I was massaging his neck, because you've got to sort of go from the back, the toes, work your way up to the neck. And I could feel I was removing something, and then I got really sick. And then I had a vision of him on the ground, fallen in blood. But that was because that was a memory of his that he hadn't dealt with. And I'm thinking I've actually removed it for him, like you remove a splinter out of a line. It's the littlest thing that no one would know it was there. You probably don't even know it's there until someone who's a healer can actually sense it with their third eye, and that's what I do. when I do my sun. So then we've got here death. You may have recently lost somebody very close to you. Death is transformation. Talks about scorpionic energy, and possibly the death that you had, you haven't moved on from yet. You haven't let go of it. You haven't transformed that sadness, that stuck emotion that's in your heart, in your throat chakra, because the throat chakra will act up with phlegm, like a cold, which is what I've had recently, a flu, because I can't express how I feel. Now, what this emotion code talks about is using a crystal, like a moonstone. I've got a moonstone hanging off my keychain, and to use it like a pendulum. There's my keychain. There's my pendulum. It's my little moonstone, which is for trapped emotions of people that suffer with hormonal issues, like most women do. You can actually move it around the body, and if it goes clockwise, that means yes. If it goes anti-clockwise, it means no. So you can ask the body questions over a certain area that you may be having issues with, like your stomach upset all the time, your intestinal tract's upset, and you can ask it in your head or out loud, what do I need to do to release this and express this emotion? So I asked myself, do I need to express myself through singing, drawing, or writing? I did it once for singing, it said no. I did it again for writing, and it said yes. So writing, journaling, and I did it again for drawing, expression. I have to express how I feel. I'm looking at doing a poem for my grandmother that's passed away, and I'm going to do a drawing for my granddad, because that way I can express how I feel. Five of Cups is extreme sadness, extreme grief that you're still processing, and this can take months, years to get over. if someone's very close to you, that it can take a lot longer. Grief is something that was very common with COVID. Everyone had COVID symptoms because they were grieving. That's what the emotion code talks about. Lung, phlegm is to do with grief, and everyone had COVID. So it was like an extreme case of grief across the world, and I definitely felt it. This person, this Princess of Cups, may be your psychic equivalent. I sense that they are quite gifted in psychic abilities. They could be a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, younger than you. They've got a lot of feminine energy, and they see you, if you are an Aquarian, because you've come up as an Aquarian in this reading, and we're reading for Aries, they may see you as very knowledgeable. You have a lot of wisdom. You use your wisdom and your logic before you use your heart. It's a head or heart decision, and most times, 9 times out of 10, you'll go with your head and make the logical choice and ignore your heart, because you might have suppressed emotions from childhood that you haven't yet released, as the emotion code book talks about. You may be working with a therapist and or a psychologist and talking about deep-seated, deep-rooted pain from your childhood, and then you can release that. And when you release that, you will then be open to a relationship. And until you do your shadow work, you're going to be very closed off. I think people will find you very offish, very Aquarian-like, very aloof. Because what I pulled on the Ace of Arrows is to say what's surrounding you. You've got another air sign around you, people that come to visit, who's a bit offish towards you sometimes. They don't show their hand, they don't show their emotions to you. They could be a fellow air sign. It could be Aquarian, Gemini, Libra, strongly in their chart. Now we're coming into a full eclipse on the 25th of, I think it's March, in Libra, which is head and heart. They tend to go between two different emotions. They overthink things because they overcare. I'm an overthinker. I have Libra in my placements. I think number 10. In my natal chart, I've got Libra, very high Libra placements, and I've also got Gemini. So we tend to live in our head. Gemini's another one. Princess of Staves talks about your hopes and fears. You may hope and fear a fire sign. They could be a younger fire sign, or they could be immature. They don't act their age. They could be a Sagittarian, Leo, or Aries. So you could have someone that's may have that in their chart. You could have two people. You could have a wand, Princess of Wands, and a Princess of Cups, male or female energy. They may express their energy. They've got more feminine energy in their chart, in their how they come across. Gender's not is fluid here. It could be talking about they have more feminine qualities and you've got more male qualities, which is the stubbornness, which is the Aquarian stubbornness. It's a male trait. The star is talking about you may be currently in the spotlight, or you'll be going into the spotlight. You'll be drawing a lot of attention to yourself. The star talks about grace, and the star is health. You're returning to health because you've been very ill, because you've been grieving the loss. So yeah, that's what that means, the star. The star is number 17. It's also the Aquarian card. So you may be doing some self-healing, which I've been doing with shadow work with my psychologist and talking about stuff from my past. And it's brought up a lot of emotion. It can be, you can hear my voice, it can be trapped in the throat chakra because it's stuck emotion that you haven't been able to express verbally. You couldn't speak about it because you were shut down by relatives or by a parent, and you didn't express it. And now it's all coming out. It's being released from your body, so you can move forward and bring new energy in, which is what we want. We want to have new energy, not trapped energy, not trapped depression. Faith to move mountains, believing in the future, good fortune, light at the end of the tunnel, and knowing what to do next. Spiritual joy. You have to believe. Challenges fade away, and the joy that comes from true faith lights your way like a clear, starry sky. Life has wonderful, magical things in store for you. There's no room for self-doubt. Look to the future with hope and optimism. So you've got the star. If the star came up with the Chariot, it would be healing through, I guess, emotions. But the healing could come from wisdom, which is what we call the Ace of Swords. So knowledge is power. The knowledge that you read about how to help yourself heal is how it's going to help you, because you're very much in your head, you're logical, you're operating from your head to heal your heart, which your emotions are your heart. That's how you're going to overcome it. It's magical. Look to the future with hope and optimism. The angels and the fairies can help you manifest whatever you need in order to move forward toward a happy life or career. Trust in yourself and your abilities. Allow your faith to grow like the constellations. It will guide you to rich and fulfilling spiritual insights. You may have come through a dark night of the soul, and now you're being illuminated from within through the knowledge you've been reading about. And I've discovered this by watching the Shift Network. Dr. Bradley Nielsen is part of that Shift movement, and he talks about emotion code. He's got it on the YouTube. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll type in emotion code and how to do it, step-by-step process. Very, very cool, very, very interesting. My other son's studying psychology, and I gave the link to him, and he was fascinated by it. He thought it was really cool. It's got some psychological factor in it. You know, he's a cognitive scientist. Cognition. So brain works with the brain and how to remove and transmute trapped emotions, because he's a scientist. He's been studying this for a while. He's been studying brain scans and things like that. So he's quite knowledgeable. Very interesting person to read and watch on YouTube. You can borrow the book from the library, but it's also on YouTube. So that's for someone out there that might want to go research what's wrong with their body. And sometimes it can be a matter of using logic, like reading up about your problem, getting to the solution. What's deep-rooted solution? You have to maybe get through a generational curse, a generational belief system, or what you were brought up because of that generation, what they'd gone through. 1950s, I know kids were affected because their parents had come back from the war. They were suffering with PTSD, having addiction problems, having the depression that was around back then would have affected the 1950s children that were growing up. So their perception of what should be now is completely different to what the kids that are coming out of the millennium. in this era. That's why it's really hard to see other people's perspectives in working out how to get along, because you have really deep-rooted belief systems that you may be confronting to talk about things like the good guy's witch, you know, and magical work, spell work, make it completely, you know, juju to them. Now the deck I'm working with is Grace, A Lover's Path Knot by Chris Walger, and I'm working Your Light Oracle cards by Rebecca Campbell. Very nice gift was given to me by a lady that I read for in a self-development course I was doing. Now, what we're going to do now is take one card. I'm going to shuffle from the inquiry. So this is going to confirm, these are your guidance cards, what it is you're inquiring about. Whatever falls out or pokes out, okay. And this is what it's saying. Don't dim to fit in. Just be who you are. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? You have to be 100% who you are when you show up, when you come to see people or they get visits from you. Yeah, it's just saying you have to be your authentic self. You can't dress down, make yourself look smaller because they're insecurities. That's not your problem. That's not what other people think about you, is none of your business. Don't dim your light to fit in. Don't dim your light to accommodate someone else's smallness. We are all born to shine big and bright. The universe is expanding and you are a part of that universe. So expanding is part of your nature. If someone makes you feel you want to retract, notice and slowly back away. They're not for you and you are not for them. Better yet, find it within yourself to expand and shine your light anyway. Flowers don't open and close according to who's walking by. They just open and show their beauty regardless. If others don't want to be around you or not make them, or you make them uncomfortable, it's because you are shining light on the fact that they are dimming to fit in. By choosing to shine bright, you may inspire them to turn on their light too, or not. Keep your light on anyway. All relationships are essentially an energetic agreement. The moment one person decides to start rising up and allowing their light to shine, it changes the energetic agreement and can create some waves. That's normal. There's going to be haters out there. The relationships that are meant to last will adapt to the change in energy. Others won't, because they were lightly born under the provision of, I love you as long as you don't shine brighter than me. That's okay. Not all people are meant to be in our life forever. The lessons they teach us can still live on. So that's that. That's the inquiry. Don't dim to fit in. The next one is action cards. Break. So we've got what you have to do about trying to dim your light. Yeah, when you're a kid at school, I remember when I was a kid at school and I was learning to draw from my grandfather. He taught me. It's my biggest influence as far as drawing goes. I was learning about perspective and I was trying to draw, and she kept saying, draw it bigger. I'm like, why? Because I was drawing small little drawings. She said, because we want you to be big. She's trying to get me to do bigger drawings to make my confidence stand out. It's a very good psychological trick that she did. In my class, I was doing a stairwell with this beautiful girl coming down a staircase onto this floor that was checkered. This is a true story. I think I was in year, let me think now, 9 or 10. It was a dream I had. I was coming down this stairwell and I had this beautiful dress on and it was a checkerboard floorboard. It was in a magical castle. Now, I was 14? I'm now 50. I've turned 50. It's like 40 odd years ago I had this vision. They made a series called A Discovery of Witches. And what do you think the house looked like? It was called Septor, and it was set in a castle because they were vampires, and the floor and the walls were covered in checkerboard. And she was in a beautiful dress, the character, Diana, who was a witch. She was dressed in this beautiful old-fashioned style dress because they had to go back in time for her to find out how to open her magic, how to unlock her magic. They had put a protection spell on her when she was a child, so she wouldn't come across like she was magical, but things started coming out of her. She'd pick up a book that hadn't been taken out since thousands of years. They couldn't find this book, it just disappeared. She went to this library at Oxford and she found the book, or the book found her. She was calling the magic from the book, or the book was responding to her blood, her witch blood. It's a very good series, but I swear to God, I drew this picture and it was predictive of this movie that came out that was a huge hit. There was three series to it. Discovery of Witches Part 1, 2 and 3. Teresa Palmer is the Australian actress that played it, and Matthew Good was the counterpart, which was brilliant. That's my spiel. Okay, now, in Rama, where are you being called to journey to? Okay, so that's your next question. This is your action card. In Rana, activation, 98. Okay, so it's saying here, where are you being called to journey to? Imrana means a journey of the soul, a voyage on which we don't know where we are going, but our soul knows the way. If you pull this card, you're either being pulled on a soul journey or are already on one. It could be a physical, ancient place or metaphoric. When we journey to places that our soul remembers, a shift takes place, both within us and on the planet as well. You are being called to journey to a place that is sacred to your soul. Perhaps it is a journey to the world's sacred sites, like, yes, I had a vision about going to Nepal and I was in a prayer room and the monk said to me, because I astral travel all the time, what are you doing here? This is a sacred prayer room. I went, I don't know, I'm lost. And I was in front of a market, and apparently they do have markets in Nepal. I spoke to a girl recently on a bus that came from Nepal. There's prayer rooms over there exactly how I described, with markets exactly how I described. Air signs, I've got your feather. That's crossing the Aquarium. Or called to cross the country, climb a mountain, lie on the desert floor, or drink from an ancient well. There are places to see and old friends to meet. I see spontaneous pilgrimages in your future. If a physical voyage isn't possible, journey through the portal of your heart. Follow the invisible soul trail and be willing to explore. Maybe read a book or watch a movie about a sacred time or place. That's a good idea. Or perhaps you are being called to study an ancient lineage or body of work. Whatever your circumstances, your soul is ready to journey deep. And that movie was called Discovery of Witches, was also about the Knights of the Templar, which were the special knights that looked after the people that couldn't look after themselves, that were being picked on or trying to be burnt at the stake, which was witches at the time, or looked after the Queen. She was the Queen's personal guard, the Knight of the Templar. That held back to King Arthur's days, and what that whole movie was about. So you're being asked to go and visit a sacred site. Maybe Alexandria is where you're meant to go. That's a possibility as well. Okay, the next card we're going to pull is from action cards and then transmission. This is the action you have to take. Usually people with clairvoyance or claircognitive, yes, which they just sense or read someone's mind or pick up someone and something that the kid is thinking about or the person's thinking about it, you might just speak it and they're like, how did you know it? I was just speaking about that to a friend of mine the other day. Or you'll see it in your mind's eye. You'll see an image of something in your mind and then you'll find it. Clairvoyance. Usually people with clairvoyance are very visual. I know I'm a very visual person. That's how I learn. My son's also very visual. And I can sense where he's got problems in his energy. Play. Have fun and celebrate. Don't be so serious. It's saying we need to have more play. Yeah, you may be you may have Capricorn in your chart and be a workaholic. I think that's it. You have to go play. It's an action word. I told my son he needs to go out and enjoy himself more often. Okay, 74. And fun can be going for a run. That to me is fun. You know, you go out for a run, you're seeing the scenery, you're not stuck in some gym with everyone else who's sweating and you have to put up with people's odour, and I'd much rather go running or walking, or swimming, or bike riding. Have more fun, play more, celebrate, stop taking life so seriously. Your spirit needs to have some fun. The more you play, the more inspiration will follow. Take some time out to do something without being attracted to the outcome. You're being called to rest and play and learn to have some more fun. Do something that makes you laugh, the best medicine around. Call up a friend that you want to be silly with. Take your inner child on a date. This is the Gemini part of my natal chart. The more you switch off your mind, the more room your spirit has to whisper and guide. When we do things without being attached to an outcome, ideas, clarity, guidance and solutions have the space to drop in. The left and right hemispheres of the brain can begin talking to each other, which is why when I do massage, I'm actually connecting both left and right sides of the brain. Because the left is the logic and reason, the right is the artistic and playful and intuitive part. Yeah. So, yeah, make play a compulsory part of your day. Schedule it. Spend more time doing things that just because you love to do them, just because they bring you joy and light you up. If you follow what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. For when you are lit up, you are in the spirit, and when your spirit will fall into flow with life. How do you play? What do you do to have fun? What lights you up? If you've been working hard, it's time to celebrate how far you have come, all that you've achieved. Don't rush on to the next thing. Take a moment to throw a party, go on a vacation, or have some fun. And that's what it's saying. You need to lighten up more. Play is your action. Because when we're playing, we're not thinking about what we're doing, we're just having fun with it. That way. Alright, this is the deck. I'm pulling these cards for your transmission cards. So what you're going to transmission is what you're going to transform into. Once you lighten up and play more, what will happen to you? And where's it coming from? Minnetarkan, yeah, I thought so. So, play may be swimming, longing for home, belonging to the original light workers. You may need to be in water, or go to a place with water surrounding it. You may have come from the great Atlantis ancestors. That's what Mintarkian is about. And that is 116, which is again an 8, and we're in 8 year. So it's almost like ordained. It's kind of karmic. 116. Yeah. Longing for home. Mintarkans are a soul group who originated on a planet in the constellation Orion. They were the first star beings to travel to Earth and are believed to be the original light workers. The Mintarkans' home planet is thought to have a water world, with water so pure you could see through it for miles. For this reason, Mintarkans feel at most at peace and at home when or around crystal clear water. They are here to teach us to see the potential in everything and the light in all things. Many Mintarkians have an odd longing for home and struggle with feeling that they don't belong here. This is a thought that is due to their home planet no longer being in existence. If you pulled this card, it could mean you are a Mintarkan or a longing for a sense of belonging, and root chakra healing is necessary for you to feel safe and secure. Perhaps you feel this longing to find home without knowing where that is. Perhaps you've been moving around so much and yearn for a place on Earth to call your own. If so, you're being called to connect with Mother Earth and create it for yourself now. So eat root foods like carrots, potatoes, things that grow in the earth. Mushrooms. To choose where you feel most at home and create it rather than waiting for the feeling of belonging to come. Yeah, you're trying to find a way to fit in because you don't feel you fit in anywhere. Being a light worker and very extremely psychic, there's not many places you can hang out and talk about what you actually see unless you hang out with other people on this platform, as in this community, this YouTube community of tarot readers or light workers. That's probably where you only feel comfortable. You may watch lots of YouTube just so you can talk to someone or hear someone else's point of view that sees life as you see it. That, I must agree, is my biggest problem. Cool. No? Two cards. No, it's saying no. Wait, postpone, pause, say no. Okay. If you're looking for a job, you're trying to find a new job, it's saying wait, pause, postpone, because the job that you be led to is going to be the wrong one. Or the person, place, or thing is saying wait, postpone, pause, and say no. You may have to find ways to heal each. They have to be on their journey. They haven't healed their journey. You have. They've got shadow work to do. So there is an attraction to someone. There's two people that are interested, but they both have shadow work to do. And that's all I have for you today for Moonlight Madness.